Oh, blimey. Am I on? Thanks, Ian. I suffered through the TV debate tonight, and never in the field of human conflict was so much flannel yelled over another person than Penny, stand up and fight Mordaunt, shouted over that lady in red. And orange. What a combination. The dear leader was taking the night off from putting his foot in his mouth and blowing it off. He took some time away from falling flat in his face to punch holes in some of his least favourite cashmere hoodies in frustration that we people just don't appreciate him as much as he does himself. On the BBC debate, it was a riot of primary colours and second-hand thoughts as each participant tried to remember their lines and get their lies in order. Nigel Farage looked especially pleased with himself, like a pig in a stream near a Thames water sewage runoff pipe.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Well, let's get back to it.
Tonight, showers across the north and most frequently across the northwest of Scotland. You know where. Under clear skies, it will be chilly in the east. Saturday, rain followed by sunshine. Can you believe that?
No.
The sunshine part, I mean. Sunny spells and scattered showers. Top temperatures will reach 14 degrees centigrade for Edinburgh, 19 degrees centigrade for London, which would be lovely if it was autumn. Sunday, showers, and when the showers go, they'll be replaced by rain. Feeling cool for the time of year. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
I don't blame you. So this is the next couple of weeks, the middle weeks of June. At first, same as what we've been getting, sunshine and showers, and then, for a few days, dry and sunny. Only for a few days, though. Followed by wet. Wettest in the north and the west, driest weather in the south and the east. I could check on that while you wait, but really, what's the point? Aha! It's raining at the moment in Glasgow. Don't call me up and tell me it isn't, because it is. It might not rain tomorrow, but it will be raining on Sunday and raining on Monday and... Not raining on Tuesday and Wednesday. Pfft, rubbish. But in Glasgow, it will be raining on Thursday and Friday and next to Saturday and on Sunday the 16th and the following Monday and the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursday. Pretty much every day for the rest of your lives. And did I mention feeling cool feeling cool for the time of year? Yeah. So that's the next couple of weeks, middle 2 weeks of June. And for the whole of the country, the last week of June and the first week of July. You ready? Showers or longer spells of rain at times. Temperatures are most likely to be close to normal or slightly above, and all areas can expect to see some spells of drier, sunnier weather. Temperatures are most likely to be close to normal or slightly above, and all areas can expect to see some spells of drier, sunnier weather. We'll take it. Craig says, I've been watching and listening to the news. There's hardly any coverage about the election. There's only coverage about the election. He says, do you know fishy fun size... Well, it says fun sieve. But I imagine you mean fishy fun size, which is a new one on me. I might use that. Do you know if Fishy Fun Size has a plan to sort out the mess and chaos over their last 14 years? And I'm sorry, Craig, but you spelt there wrong. Wrong. I hate to be pedantic about that, but as somebody who can't spell for toffee, I'm very, very insistent on correct spelling. This anonymous text says, was there an overall winner tonight? Well, not an outright winner, nor an overall winner, nor anyone who stood out. But apart from that, it was great. I think Angela Rayner was wearing overalls, wasn't she? Like puff-sleeved overalls. It's like, I was just running a few things that I could have said then, and I thought, no, can't say that. No, can't say that one. Or that one, or that one. Can't say anything anymore. It's because of the European Union. The European Court of Human Rights. The quicker we are out from under the auspices of that foreign court, the better. Then I'll be able to tell you what I was thinking. Edward says, I wish people would stop referring to Rishi Sunak in nautical terms. Captain of a ship, indeed. That man couldn't even float a rubber duck in a bathtub. And Adam says, this week Rishi told us if we let Labour in, it will cost us £2,000. Do they accept MasterCard? The show's not 10 minutes old, and that's probably going to be the best text of the night. Over to you, 0345 6060 973. Well, we could talk about the thing that's just gone, but people who have just seen it are probably, lying down with a cold compress on their forehead in a darkened room, trying to get over it. So I'll pause on that for a moment to talk about this instead. A picture in the newspapers. Look, there's the President of France, and there's the Chancellor of Germany, and there's the President of the United States of America, who had to travel 3,000 miles to get there. And oh, look, there isn't Fishy Sunak, who didn't have to travel at all because he's already there before being airlifted out to try and convince the viewers of ITV News that he's not a liar and is someone you can trust and is in tune with British values. Not very British value-ish to scarper on such a day, but what do I know? Claims by Tory ministers and sources that the French government was told a week ago that Fishy Sunak would not attend the D-Day 80th commemoration are being denied by Sunak's communication team. It's baseless, said a spokesmodel. Just like the repeated claim about Labour being the party that will raise taxes by £2,000. Baseless. Officials said the discussion with the French was over whether he would stay until the end. He was always going to France, said one. Like that's helpful. Like that paints him in a good light. I mean, who to believe? An unnamed source who probably wakes up crying since his boss, Fishy, took to the campaign trail. I mean, can you imagine being his people? I mean, they must go to bed with a box of tissues by the bed in case they wake up in the middle of the night crying. That's what the box of tissues is for, and for no other reason. Why would you even think that? He was always going to France, said one. Rather bringing up the possibility that he wasn't always going to France. I mean, why even say that? Oh, he was definitely going to go. So who to believe? That person who wakes up crying since his boss, Fishy, took to the campaign trail, or literally everything you know about who Rishi Sunak is? And I'm not sure it makes it any better that he was always going to go, but left early for his own benefit, compared to if he'd not gone at all. I mean, at least that would have been honest. He didn't want to go, but he was forced to go. So he went in one of his tetchy huffs and scarpered as soon as he thought he could get away with it, throwing chaff out of his helicopter door about how Labour are the party of unisex toilets and vegan scones. No! What a desperate little squit he is. Frankly, it's embarrassing that he is the leader of this country. Don't you think, Liz?
Absolutely.
He's even worse than you, Bodge.
I can't comment on that.
Blah, 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 blah. Oh, my God, the title of his column in the Mail. I have to... I reel back in horror. One moment, please. Well, you know what? I won't be able to find it in time, so I'll come up with it during the break. You know, he's paid the big money, an amount that he would probably describe as chicken feed, to write a column in the Mail and talk about buyer's remorse. People at the Mail, I don't know, they must be furious. The stuff that man's coming out with, I mean, really. So, instead of joining the world's leaders to pay their respects, Tetchy flounced out to lie about being a liar on an ITV News segment that's not even going to be aired until next week.
What?
Yeah. Labour leader Skier stayed until the end, and he was pictured with the President Zelensky out of Ukraine. But you know what? That's just typical Labour, that is. He politicised the whole event by staying and cynically showing up the Conservative leader for who he is. Frankly, Keir Starmer should be ashamed of himself. And today, the Prime Minister apologised. A lot. He said,
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Totally screwed up.
I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The 80th anniversary of D-Day, said Prime Minister Sunak. The 80th anniversary of D-Day has been a profound moment to honour the brave men and women who put their lives on the line to protect our values, our freedom and our democracy. This anniversary should be about those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The last thing I want is for the commemorations to be overshadowed by politics. It's not been overshadowed by politics, Rishi Sunak. It's been overshadowed by you. It's been overshadowed by the actions of one man who's never heard the word no in his entire perfumed life and can't quite believe that the soldiers who landed on D-Day could not have reorganised their diary 80 years ago so as not to clash with his electioneering. It really was quite selfish of them. And, by the way, if that is the best line that his people can come up with, the last thing I want is for the commemorations to be overshadowed by politics. In order to wheedle out of this, then he should fire them all right now. The implication being that anyone who so much as mentions his absence is playing politics. And that implication is so entitled, so superior, you have to wonder if he's ever met another human being. That man's an automaton.
Correct.
He must have repeated this line about 5 times in one brief interview on Sky News. He said, I care deeply about the veterans and have been honoured to represent the UK at a number of events in Portsmouth and France over the past few days and to meet those who fought so bravely. After the conclusion of the British event in Normandy, I returned back to the UK. On reflection, it was a mistake not to stay in France longer, and I apologise. On reflection, it was a mistake. I mean, what does that mean? He sat in his helicopter on the way back to have his makeup put on for another self-glorifying turn in front of the cameras and reflected on whether he'd done the right thing? Or was it more like he heard a wail of anguish that the person that is running this country is a tin-eared, vain, self-satisfied, oily oaf, and after trying in vain to somehow make this Keir Starmer's fault and failing, he had one of his people sketch out an apology line that also manages to question the motives of anyone who objects to how he acted. That, the last thing I want is for the commemorations to be overshadowed by politics line. It was less I'm sorry, more I'm sorry you can't appreciate me more. And cooking on Gaslight 11 here, he said, I'm always a person who will admit when I've made a mistake, and that's what you'll always get from me. Yeah, that's what he's known for, admitting when he's made a mistake. And he also kept repeating that the itinerary for the D-Day commemorations was set weeks ago, before the announcement of the general election, as though that makes it somehow okay. But it's the opposite of that. The itinerary was set weeks ago. Of course it was. World leaders can't drop everything and fly to another country without some notice. And because there was notice, he knew where he was supposed to be. And where the ITN News interview was not arranged weeks ago, before the announcement of a general election, because how could ITN know that the election would be called before he called it? It was, and nobody pulled him up on this. It was such a weird excuse. So in trying to excuse him scarpering off early, he actually dug himself deeper. Probably assuming that no one would pull him up on it, because up to recently in his life, no one has ever had the nerve to question him about anything. That's the power of money, that is. The itinerary for the D-Day commemorations was set weeks ago. That's his excuse for scarpering off to something that was organised just a day or so before. Figure that out. And he wants the kids to do a year of national service to instill them with some pride for our country. And the actual leader of the country was all out of patience after one morning. Please, do tell us some more about patriotism. Oh, and as though that wasn't enough, we had Johnny Bloomin' Mercer, the Tory Veterans Minister, who has the air of a man regarding himself in the mirror and not quite believing how utterly gorgeous he is, saying that the issue is less about what Fishy did and more about us lot for going on about it. He called it faux outrage, woke adjacent. I would like the Conservative Minister for Veterans Affairs to explain that to some of those aged veterans assembled in Normandy at great difficulty and without the benefit of a paid-for helicopter to whisk them back home. And the faux outrage wouldn't have sounded quite as bad an accusation if he and his party hadn't spent the past few years banging on about people doing their duty and being patriotic and selfless. I mean, I imagine that the supercilious Mercer, first named Johnny, not John like a grown-up, but Johnny, I imagine he waved an imperious hand at the thought that he perhaps shouldn't wade into this situation because he might make it worse, as he has shown a knack for doing. But I bet he thought, but it's devilishly handsome me. The viewers will wilt at the sight of my handsomeness and go along with whatever I say, especially you ladies. He never met a straight woman that didn't fancy him. He said that. Worse, he posted it on Twitter and then said it was a joke. A joke? I ask you to look at a picture of Johnny Mercer. Any picture will do. Does he look like the kind of person that thinks that all straight women fancy him? I mean, that part about straight women, of course, makes it, in his world, that if a woman doesn't fancy him, they're gay. And, by the way, 2/3 of voters believe that Rishi Sunak leaving the D-Day commemorations early was unacceptable. A survey by YouGov found 65% of British adults believe it was either somewhat unacceptable or completely unacceptable for the Prime Minister to have departed when he did. Woke, lefty, agitators, the lot of them. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Right, so I found it. This is Boris Johnson. The headline, I'll just give you the headline because the rest of it is behind a paywall. And if you think I'm paying money to read that, then you have another thing coming. This is the headline on Boris Johnson's new column for the Mail, for which he is paid what he would describe as chicken feed. Boris Johnson says Sir Keir Schnorrer plans to slink into number 10 as silently as Larry the Cat, then lock us back in the dungeon of Brussels like a ball-chewing gimp.
What?
I'm not making that up. He used to be the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that? I bet he can't believe it. Maybe he's, I don't know, maybe he's caught a communicable disease of some sort. Perhaps it's affecting his brain. Maybe you should get a test, one of them test and traces.
Contact tracing, forgive me, contact tracing.
Oh, give it up, Bodge, you're never going to get it. 0345 6060 973. Glasgow, hello, Craig.
Hi, Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I obviously just come off the back of watching that debate. I mean, for me personally, I don't think that there was any clear winners. I think it's hard when there's 7, albeit I actually think the format was a bit better than ITV's. But for me, I thought Penny Mordaunt was the clear loser. I just felt that she was shouting over everybody. Even the host, when she was trying to move on to questions or trying to point out that the £2,000 figure that she again kept rattling out is false.
Yes.
She just kept talking and talking and talking, and it just started to irritate me. And
she was so annoying. I mean, I cannot express in words how annoying that person is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even they'd moved the equation about, I think, taxis or something, and she brought up again that Labour can't be trusted with a nuclear deterrent, which has got absolutely nothing to do with the question. It's like she's basically saying, well, Labour will keep the nuclear deterrent, but they'll never use it, but we definitely will use it.
Oh, yeah, we can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is bonkers. And I just think, it doesn't feel like there's much change going to happen, but the fact that the Tories have got the bare face to actually stand in front of people after 14 years and claim that they're going to make changes, we're going to cut taxes.
We are the party of... Yeah, we are the party of... He actually said this. I think Sunak said these very words. We are the party of change. Labour are the party that will just keep on with the same policies. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's like, have they forgotten that they've been in power for 14 years?
Yeah, I think they're hoping that we have.
These things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're hoping we have, because, I mean, if we're going to do all these things, why haven't you already done them? They can't talk about the record because it's appalling, and that's the problem. And even on, obviously, the D-Day stuff as well, yesterday, it is faux pas after faux pas. I actually don't think Sunak wants to win this election.
Well,
I think he's happy to lose it.
The thought had crossed my mind that he is sort of getting the rest of his party back for choosing the Lizbot over him.
Absolutely.
And he's running the party into a tree in revenge before he flies himself off to California, probably at our expense, and spends the rest of his life rolling around in money.
Well, yes, exactly. It's the way they come out with it. So they actually believe this themselves some of the time, and it's like, Labour are the party of high taxes.
Yeah, I'm not sure they do believe it, because it's obviously learned. It's obviously learned lines, because they just keep saying the same thing over and over again, and it's almost as though they have been instructed at pain of death not to deviate from those lines, because they just keep saying the same thing again and again and again. Yeah,
but it's like me repeatedly banging my head off a brick wall, hoping at some point it will turn to sponge so I don't fracture my skull. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Well, you don't know, Craig. I'd give it a go.
But because they have overseen the highest tax burden on us in 70 years, and they want to say they're the party of economy and low tax. I mean,
and you know what? It doesn't matter about
mind-boggling.
It doesn't matter about the level of tax if you get something for it. That is why the Scandi countries are so happy, because their level of taxation is quite high, but they feel that they get something for it. What do we actually get for it? What do they do with that money?
Well, they give it to their mates, mainly. I just feel like, I mean, obviously Labour are going to win. Whatever they do, let's see. But, I mean, I felt, to be fair on Labour, I actually thought that... I don't think Angela Rayner was brilliant by any stretch, but I thought she was a lot better than Starmer was actually the other night, because she's just got a better... I think she's got a better way of presenting herself.
Yeah, she's more real.
Fire in her belly.
Yeah, she's more real. But I found it a bit difficult to concentrate on what she was saying, rather than my mouth hanging open in stunned amazement at what she was wearing. What was that? And talk about two colours clashing: red dress and orange hair. That's a no. It's more than a no. It's a
no.
Well,
there's a woman in serious need of a stylist. I'm just saying.
Absolutely, and I tell you, it's not even the biggest clash we'll see this year, because once you see Trump in an orange jumpsuit, it'll be invisible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. All right. Good spot there, Craig. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, what was Angela Rayner wearing? I mean, it was like a puff-ball-sleeved, bright red Navis boiler suit. What was that? It was like bits of other dresses which had been stapled together. Are puffball sleeves a thing outside of Cinderella? And as for Penny Mordaunt, I mean, she was like a coiffured robot. I bet her hairdo cost as much as everything that all of the other contenders on stage were wearing. It was a sort of blow-dry and set hairspray Terminator.
Correct.
I mean, she seemed intent on making people like her even less. I mean, is there a competition with Sunak for unpopularity in the Conservative Party? Because I think that she's incredibly, at this late stage in the game, she might have nosed ahead, but only because Fishy Sunak took the evening off from falling flat on his face. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I can't believe it. Sam says, the Greens, and she was green, like...
the little people.
Not leprechauns. Green from her head to her toe. It was like primary colours clash on that show this evening. Sam says the Greens sounding exactly like the Labour Party should be this evening. I bet Rayner secretly agreed with everything their leader said. Well, I'll come to what they said and what they didn't say in a while. Kevin says, sorry, Nick, I won't be listening tonight. I'm at the Taylor Swift concert at Murrayfield Stadium. Have a good show, says Kevin. Oh, he'll, right about now, he'll probably be hearing one of her songs. You know, the one that goes, you know, that Taylor Swift classic that goes... I have no idea. I've absolutely no clue. But then I'm not 12. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. I should remind you that we do put the Friday and Saturday night shows up the internet as a podcast. So if your eyelids start to droop at any point in this super show, keep in mind that you can listen to the whole thing as a podcast. It's exclusive to Global Player. If you have it, then that's fine. If you don't, you can get it from globalplayer.com or your favourite app store. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. It's called the Nick Abbott... No, what's it called? Nick Abbott, the whole Show podcast.
Correct.
That's it. If you've got one of them stupid smart speakers, then the magic phrase is play Nick Abbott, the whole show podcast. You're welcome.
Thank you.
10:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
It's about sloping off early in order to burnish your credentials for ITV News. That's what it's all about. Penny Mordaunt. She was wearing a lacquered hairdo she could use as a motorcycle helmet. Meanwhile, Angela Rayner had bright orange hair cascading down a bright red dress. I mean, those are... You'd only see that colour combination in a toddler's building block set. That's a big no. And Nigel Farage looked like a toad that's just had a 7-course meal with wine pairing. Mr. Down-to-earth man of the people, trying to make us forget that we know him from the Brexit promises that never happened. How's Brexit going, by the way, Nige?
Brexit's going great.
Glad to hear it. And Carla Denyer, out of the Green Party, wore green from head to toe. Like a leprechaun, one of the little people.
The little people. But it ain't like you think. It ain't leprechauns, don't you see? It's little men from Mars or somewhere. And it ain't a toadstool they're under. It's a spaceship.
And Daisy Cooper, out of the Lib Dems, looked pretty in pink, all over. It came across like a normal person. You believe that?
No.
Seemed quite out of place. And Stephen Flynn, out of the SNP, I mean, he seems to be gargling consonants. I've never heard anybody speak like that in my life. I couldn't even attempt to do it without giving myself great neck strain. And there was the other chap. Simon says, I know you're a big Mad Max fan. Have you seen the recent Furioso movie, and should I bother watching it? No, and I don't know in that order. But if it's remotely as good as Thunder Road, then it will be great. Manchester. Hello, Paul.
Hello?
Yes, Paul.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Great, mate.
It's interesting that you should say about Penny Mordaunt, because I actually think she looked like a pound shop Liz Truss, who in turn used to look like a pound shop Margaret Thatcher.
No, I disagree entirely. Penny Mordaunt looks like she spent a lot more money than Liz Truss ever did on her appearance.
But she actually looked worse, I thought.
Well, at least her hair. I think the difference between Penny Mordaunt and Liz Truss is that Penny Mordaunt's hair doesn't actually move. It's almost... Maybe she gets it done at the same place as Oh, God. Who's the guy with the syrup?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you know, the guy who looks like he's had a plate of plastic pasta.
Oh, Michael Fabricant. Fabricant.
Yeah, that's right. A plate of plastic pasta dumped on his head. Yeah, they probably go to the same hairdresser. Yeah.
But it is interesting because where's Oliver Dowden in this election campaign? I mean, tonight it was all the deputies, well, a few of the deputies like Angela Rayner and Daisy Cooper, but they don't seem to be allowing Oliver Dowden out to campaign or speak or anything. And it tells you all you need to know about that Deputy Prime Minister, doesn't it?
Well, locked in a cage, he'll be allowed out at the moment at which it doesn't matter anymore.
He's obviously seen as someone who's even more duller than Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, I'd imagine.
I think that we could do with a period of dull, don't you?
Absolutely.
I think that a little period of dullness wouldn't go amiss. What do you reckon, Bodge?
I can't comment on that, though.
You can't comment on that.
Well, I actually quite like... You were on about Angela Rayner and Stephen Flynn, and I'm a big fan of Angela Rayner, and I actually think she looked quite nice tonight. I thought that's just my opinion, but I think them two stood out to me because among all that lot, they look like the contemporary politicians on that stage. They look like the man you could have a pint with down the pub, the woman you could have a dance with on the dance floor. And to me, I want to see more people like that in politics.
You want to see,
relatable.
you want more drinking and dancing. I get it, yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Paul. 0345 6060 973. That's what I was thinking as I was watching that this evening. Never mind about the dancing. Can we have more drinking?
Booze.
Tristan says, during the debate, Penny Morbid threw Tetchy under the bus quicker than an umbrella opening in Glasgow for not staying in France. Wow, what a complicated sentence Tristan just wrote there. I think he thought that D-Day meant Dunkirk Day, so in a show of solidarity, he shot back over the channel to ensure he didn't get caught up with the little people, says Tristan. This text says, he left to do a political interview, but he didn't want it to be political. That's right. He's so bad at this, it's staggering. And I'll return to that thought, if I may. He is so bad at this that I'm beginning to be suspicious that it's a little too bad. I mean, really, he positioned himself in front of the Morrison's logo so as to eliminate just enough letters for the word moron to be spelled out behind his head. Really? He positioned himself just so in front of one of them lifting machines with two circles on the back that he gave himself Mickey Mouse ears. Really? He went to a pub called the Crooked Billet and managed to have himself photographed under the sign of that pub, but of which the only word you could read was crooked. Really? I'm beginning to think that we're being duped. 0345 6060 973. I mean, would it be beyond the realms of possibility that he's so irate that the Tories chose the Lizbot over him, that he actually wants to crash and burn the whole party? Because if he doesn't want to do that, then he's doing a very, very bad job. If he does want to do that, it couldn't be going better. You decide. West Devon. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick. Well, really, I mean, if your analysis isn't the case, it seems to me that he shows a psychological detachment from the whole thing, from the essence of what was going on with the 80th anniversary, that actually borders on the pathological. I mean, it's absurd.
It's not just
to be so psychologically detached from things.
But he appears to be
I've got an explanation.
He seems to be psychologically detached from everything. I mean, think about what he does for a living.
Yes.
He bets.
Yes.
He's a gambler. He moves numbers around on a screen, takes a little bit from a lot of people and gives that to himself and his hedge fund chums. That's how he made his money, by staring at a screen, not interacting with people. That's not his thing. Unfortunately for him, the job of Prime Minister is defined by interacting with people.
Yes, but not to be able to relate to anything. You know, I mean, I really think there's something wrong with him. But my first thought was, I kept hearing the words blind, 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 total blindness. And I thought, now, just let's look at him and his colleagues. They're completely wedded to the shallow. Everything is just on the surface. The lies they're going to tell next, the gradation of them, how they're going to disseminate these lies, etc. And it's completely at that level that I think they're stuck in it, and they're literally incapable of seeing anything deeper, of penetrating into anything slightly more profound.
Well,
do you see what I mean? I can see it.
Yes,
visually.
I see what you mean. But on the other hand, the British people are obsessed with the trivial. I mean, I bet that the number one read story on the Mail Online at the moment is about Taylor Swift sends fans wild as she hails crowd during first show of UK Eras tour in Edinburgh. I bet that's the number one story on the Mail right now.
Well, it would distract from the way Sunak has utterly shamed our country, wouldn't it? Distract their readers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't shamed us. I think he's shamed himself.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but by extension us, because he's our leader. Other countries, the people of other countries, won't realise that we didn't elect him. They'll just assume that we did because they're not familiar with the screwed-up system that we've got in this country. One catastrophic clown show after the other. Eh, Bodge? Yes.
And this is the sort of idiot that we want. And the thing is, what's become very obvious now is that their tactic is rudeness. It is breaking the rules. I mean, it is not looking as if they don't know how to behave, but they're doing it deliberately. I mean, I haven't seen these two debates, but I heard enough about them. He did it to stick to, you know, my sister, of course, watched them.
Yeah,
you know,
why put yourself through that misery if you don't have to? Quite.
Well, yeah, and he did it to Starmer. Just complete rudeness, yelling over him all the time. And this mordant creature's done it tonight, apparently. I heard a clip on Ian's show.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Their tactic is rudeness, breaking rules.
Yeah, I'll sum it up for you. It's what would Donald Trump do?
Don't be rude.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks a lot, Rose. 0345 6060 973. That's it, isn't it? It's what would Donald Trump do? That's why they keep saying the same lies over and over again. And when caught out, they don't apologise and back down. They double down. They just repeat it. They repeat back the thing that they have just been told is wrong, but louder. What would Donald Trump do? Simon says, Fishy isn't stupid. He soon realised there were no millionaire veterans. Not his kind of people. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
This important call in Edgware from a person called Paul. Paul.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Yes, good, thanks.
Excellent. So I've been racking my brain for months and months and months trying to find something which the Conservatives have done, which is good since they've taken over power.
Yes.
And I finally thought of something.
You thought of something?
Yes.
Lay it on us, baby.
Okay, so George Osborne announced a government help to buy scheme in 2013. Right. And that helped me to be able to buy a house with just a 5% deposit, which was pretty helpful, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people. I mean, I'm not recommending that anyone votes for the Tories this time around, but I think, you know, that was a pretty good scheme, and it worked pretty well, and it worked for me.
You're not an employee of a major building firm, are you?
No, I'm a bus driver.
Right. Because what the money benefited most of all were the major developers. There was a Lords committee in a couple of years ago that looked into the £29 billion that was spent on the Help to Buy scheme, and they determined that all of that money had been wasted. They said all it does is inflate the prices of those homes by more than the subsidy value. We essentially just gave £29 billion to the major property developers for no actual value for the public purse whatsoever. They said they do not provide good value for money. That's what the Lord said. And it would be better spent on increasing the housing supply rather than chucking it at the major property developers who just throw up any old rubbish and knew at the time that they could sell it because people such as yourself were being given a bung by the government.
Well, we didn't buy a new build home, fortunately, because I understand that they come with 90 odd defects, as a brand new home.
They do.
And I'll tell you something which I've heard about that actually is that these developers, they make the homeowners sign a what do they call it? Where they sign a contract swearing them to secrecy, basically. So we will repair this, that, and the other, or compensate you.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to go to the media.
Right.
Or
you're not allowed to tell people about our shoddy work, because then that might persuade them not to buy our product anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was pretty fortunate, and I believe that is. Well, maybe it wasn't such a good thing, but it worked for me. Maybe I'm just one of the ones who slipped through the net.
Yeah. I wouldn't broadcast that fact, Paul. Keep it between you and me. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. One slip through the net. This says, will somebody please tell us what the mystery poisonous food is? It's like Russian roulette out there, they said. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, of all the things that have happened lately, this is unbelievable. An urgent health warning has been issued after an E. coli outbreak was linked to a nationally distributed food item.
Oh, no.
An unspecified number of people have been treated in hospital due to the outbreak, the UK Health Security Agency said. The UK Health Security Agency said testing indicates that most of the 113 cases reported in the UK are part of a single outbreak, but did not give more details about the food item thought to be responsible. So it's like a game, a sort of supermarket sweep that might kill you. It's a nationally distributed food item. Is it fruit? Is it milk? Could it be cheese by any chance? We don't know, so good luck, everyone. Fingers crossed. Of the 81 cases in England, the UK Health Security Agency said around 37 people have been hospitalised. They said based on the wide geographic spread of cases, it's most likely this outbreak is linked to a nationally distributed food item or multiple food items. And all the cases recorded in the outbreak involve a Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, which can cause severe diarrhoea as well as stomach cramps and fever, none of which is good. Some symptoms can last up to two weeks. What? 2 weeks! And in some patients, mainly children, it can cause a serious life-threatening condition resulting in kidney failure. And it's often transmitted by eating contaminated food, but it can also be spread by close contact with an infected person, as well as direct contact with an infected animal or its environment, which makes this game more exciting. It could be food, or it could be the person you've just shaken hands with. But we do know that the government are making your safety their number one priority. In other unrelated news that has nothing to do with the UK Health Security Agency being unable to identify the source of the outbreak, the UK Health Security Agency was launched by Matt Hancock.
Oh, no.
Matt Hancock launched it when he was, and it's incredible to recall this, when he was a health secretary under Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
We're all lucky to be alive. The Public Accounts Committee last year said that it was established, the UK Health Security Agency, without a proper budget. It lacked good governance, without even some of the most basic financial controls, and about £3.3 billion of test and trace stock could not be accounted for by the UK Health Security Agency. £3.3 billion of test and trace. They didn't know where it was. I mean, there must be a warehouse worth. I mean, it certainly does sound like something set up by Boris Johnson, though. And that organisation, by the way, is the one that's supposed to be preparing us for the next pandemic. We're doomed. Doomed, I tell you. 0345 6060 973. Dulwich. Hello, Tom.
Evening, Nick. You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Oh, mate. I called you initially to talk about the Lib Dems, but if you wouldn't mind just beforehand, I wouldn't mind just chucking in a little bit of a view on the debate tonight, just a quick one.
Yes.
So, a little bit of a... I don't know, I haven't really heard this on the coverage, but in my normal head, I try and be as fair as possible, okay? So, start with the Tories. The nicest thing I can say about Penny Mordaunt tonight is that one thing I did learn, if I'm trying to make a big opinion of her, she probably should have been the Prime Minister when Liz Truss was elected. And I only say that because one thing I saw tonight from her was a Tory MP that was handed a complete mess of a dog's dinner and was told to make a 5-star meal out of it. And people gave her more time than I think they would have given anyone else of the sort of high offices of state at the moment, you know, Foreign Secretary, Deputy Prime Minister and stuff. I feel like she was probably listened to a lot more.
Only because she was yelling so much.
No, she was yelling so much. But I think for example, if Oliver Dowden, the Deputy Prime Minister, for example, you know, second in command, was in that position, I think people would have been laughing the entire time. They're literally laughing, which I wish they had have done for her, in a sense, because she was still peddling the same lies. She was still doing the same nonsense, but she just seems to be better looking at doing it. Not like better looking just looks, but just better at politics than the Prime Minister and any one of his surrounding...
No, I'm not sure that that's true, because part of politics is getting people to like you, and Penny Mordaunt came across as deeply unlikable. I mean, when you shout over somebody on TV, it just looks bad.
Thing is, mate, like, she was... Don't get me wrong, like, I agree with you. She is very unlikable, and I don't think she's sort of a weapon for winning the Tories this election at all, but I think it does say something that of all the candidates they could have put in that place, they put the person who, was it not 2 months ago whatsoever, that there was apparently a coup to oust Sunak and put her in, you know?
It was either her or Kemi or, insert name of no hoper here.
Yeah, the thing is, I looked at that election, I don't know about Angela Rayner, like, I wouldn't necessarily say disappointing per se. I honestly think Labour at this point now are playing different tactics to what's expected. All I saw Angela Rayner doing tonight was trying to not frighten the horses, essentially. She was quite powerful. She was very good at calling out Penny Mordaunt in the moment and very good at sort of, like, essentially just denouncing all of the nonsense. But I mean,
let me cut to it, Tom. Who won?
Can I be honest with you?
I know what you're going to say.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to say Nigel Farage.
No, I was going to say Stephen Flynn.
Oh. Right. No, that's not what I was thinking.
That's very fair, right? So the arguments that he was calling out, I thought were actually quite relevant. But I do think with him, he's an SNP leader in Westminster. He can say what he likes, essentially. Like,
it's just the weird way. I mean, I know it's superficial. It's just the weird way he says it. I mean, I've never heard anybody speak like that. It's like he is gargling the letter R.
Yeah, it is the R's, isn't it? It is. And it does let him down. But
his R's let him down. That was a sentence I wasn't expecting to utter on this show this evening.
I do admire him, though, for at least continuing without a second thought. Like, he's been. I feel like he's been quite a good voice. He's been quite loud, at least, you know. Can I actually? I was just going to drop this name. Where was George Galloway tonight, by the way?
Not important enough to be there.
No, but do you not think if Farage is going to literally insert himself a couple of days ago and now he's getting full reign of all of the media, then we should at least chuck Galloway in to, even out the noise the other side at least.
Yeah, chuck them all in the same room, lock it tightly, and leave them for a while and see what happens. I couldn't agree more. Thanks a lot, Tom. Gotta go. This text says, I love that Rishi made the mistake of leaving D-Day to do an interview to double down on the lie perhaps, about Labour's tax plans when he said to distract attention from the half-baked national service plans which he announced to take away from the fact that he had no candidates and kept making miscommunications, which happened because he announced the election too early while standing in the rain without an umbrella, saying he had a plan. No one's even pretending to listen to him now. Says that somewhat long-winded, anonymous texter. 0345. Keep it to, 2,000 words would be good. Appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Shut up. Hello, boys.
Iceland? You've got to be kidding me. How many people live in Iceland? I mean, it can't be more than 11. Every single person that lives in Iceland was on that football pitch. How did we manage to lose to them? Oh, well, never mind. It's only football. If one single person mentions... never mind. Jack says, 1966, I can't stand it anymore. Jack says, I haven't heard Rishi Sunak admit that it was a mistake to stand out in the rain when he announced the global election yet. What? I still can't believe that they couldn't move D-Day Remembrance Ceremony to fit in with his own schedule. Yeah, I think I've said that one already. At least the tangerine scream wasn't there as the leader of the American opposition. This veterans have been through enough without having subjected to both him and Rishi's presence, says Jack. Some of that made sense. Well done, Jack. Caroline says, oh, leave him alone. He's doing his best.
Yeah. Wait.
He seriously needs to get a grip on it.
I'm gripping it.
He is actually gripping it right now. Winchester. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Nick. You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Just wanted to give you my take on the debate tonight.
Go on.
Well, first of all, I've got my mug ready for, hopefully, the 4th, which says Tory tears. There's, Ramona tears.
Oh, right. It's not one of them USB plug-in mugs that keeps your drink at just the right temperature, is it?
I've got one, and it don't work. Right. The other thing is I wanted to book a slot on your show for, I want to be the first call that comes in to say you lost, get over it. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So my takeaways for tonight, right? Now, I've long been of the opinion that this country has been operating in an illusion since 5 or 6 years ago, and the actual realities are not what is being preached to us. And that was proved to me tonight. Farage didn't get any applause.
I'm not sure. I think he got applause when he said we want to lock more people up. That's the way to deal with knife crime. We're going to get tough. That's what he said.
He got a bit of applause for that. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. I'll give you that. But the biggest cheer or the biggest applause of the night was when Stephen Flynn slagged off Brexit.
Right. You know what? I missed the start of that show. Was that right at the beginning?
I don't know, because I was watching it. Right. I was watching it in bits, but Stephen Flynn spoke out the truth about Brexit, and the applause was the biggest applause of the night.
Yes,
with Farage standing there, and he also got a huge applause when he said about the value of immigration. Got a big applause. So those 2 points alone wiped the floor with Farage. And I've thought all along we are literally living in illusion because people in this country are not what the Farages think we are or tell us we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that about, shall we say 20%? 20% of the country believe in Nigel Farage and the causes of Nigel Farage. It seems, I mean, remarkable to me that that's still the case after...
But they shout louder.
Yes.
They do shout louder.
Yeah, they do.
And the other thing I noticed about Farage is he he's one step away from using the term "drain the swamp."
Right.
What
would Donald Trump do? Yes.
The stuff he's coming out with is very Trumpian, but he hasn't said those words yet, but he's been very close. I mean, bloke's a grifter. He's just found out that his God is not who he's invested in, and he could be going to prison.
No, he ain't going to prison, and he is exactly who Nigel Farage knows him to be.
I bet you he is. I said to you before that I bet you 10 quid to charity that he does go to prison. I think he's going to prison.
No way.
I think take the bet then, Nick. £10 of charity.
Yeah, all right.
But the other thing was,
yes.
before I go...
What's the time limit on that, though, Simon? I mean, we're talking about this year or ever?
Well, I'd like to think it's this year. I think he's going to prison on the 11th.
No, he's not going to prison. He's going to the penthouse suite in his own personal elevator.
Right. So my last point, before you crucify me and kick me away...
Yes.
...is listen to what Labour are saying. I've noticed this now multiple times. When they're getting accused of raising taxes...
Yeah.
The actual line that comes out every time is that they will not be putting any tax rises on working people.
Right. What does that mean?
I reckon they're going to go after wealth, capital gains, and they're going to get the money from the rich, which is what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. But that sentence is never without working people on the end of it.
Right. Let me take a further bet with you that they're not going to do anything of the sort because the people with the money will throw vast amounts of cash at politicians to make the status quo as it is and allow them to continually get away with not paying their fair share.
No. Labour aren't like that.
Because they can spend £1 million to save £1 billion.
Labour aren't like that. Labour aren't like that, Nick.
They're people, Simon. They're people. Of course they are.
I know they're people, but you think the Tories are all about the me, Labour is about the we. You've got to have faith in that. Otherwise, we've got nothing left.
Well, don't give up hope, Simon. It might never Oh, no, that's right. It already has. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I think they might make a big show about going after the wealth and raising inheritance tax, which is called the death tax by those who are trying to make us, leave it alone. And they'll talk about capital gains tax and so on and so forth. And the usual arguments will be trotted out. Oh, well, you can't stick it to the wealth creators. They'll all leave, etc. and so on. All these... some of them may leave. Who cares? All they're doing is making everything in this country more expensive. The ones that will leave, that have the ability to leave, that can up sticks and, just fly away to one of their other houses, they're not actually contributing at all. All they're doing is making everything more expensive. So let them go. They create wealth, quite possibly, but they keep it. They keep the wealth by their workers are being paid such a small amount that they're on benefits. They don't actually make enough money working all week long to pay their bills. So let them go. But I just don't believe that the Labour Party will do anything about that because, that's the donor class. That's where the money is. So I just don't think they will. I mean, you can hope that they will. And the other thing is that our tax laws are written so complicated, in such a complicated way for a purpose, so that those with a lot of money can employ whole buildings full of lawyers and accountants, which might cost them £1 million, but they'll save £1 billion, so they won't care. You or I don't have that kind of money. We don't have the money in order to avoid paying tax. It's curious, that, isn't it? It's the people that can't afford it are the ones that pay it. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Cowbridge. Chris.
Good evening, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Oh, good. Yeah, we should be calling this section Nick Abbott's British Week, really, shouldn't we?
British Week?
Yeah, well, like, you got, the guy does with Tom, never mind. The reason never mind. It was funny in my head, I'm sure. A Titchy Suit Size campaign. We thought his first week was bad. We didn't realise he had a sequel to follow up, did we?
What is he going to do next?
Oh, my God. Do you know, I've realised that apology that he did today.
Yeah.
I've watched it a couple of times. If you imagine a theme song in the background, it makes it much better. If you imagine Fawlty Towers, right, in the background, it makes it work. And then anytime he talks, you just have that sound. It works every single time.
I think it might be better to have the Laurel and Hardy theme song because it's more pratfallish. Sing.
I don't know. Fawlty Towers just as long as it just infers that it's undermining him. So this week we had own goals aplenty, didn't we? I thought that the debate that he had with Skier with the £2,000 tax lie, I thought that was going to be his Partygate. I thought that was bad. I thought, God, especially the fallout afterwards.
But the fallout afterwards was just them repeating the lie again and again and again and again, and they got called out about it. And what they did in that moment was just to repeat it again and again and again.
I didn't even imagine that 3 days later he could surpass that monumental gaffe with something on a whole other level. Do you think that those, he took that day off on that Saturday to spend with his advisors?
Yeah.
Do you think they may have sat there and thought, we've got the photo with the moron, we've got the crooked, tick, tick, we've got the exit, tick, photo, we've got the £5,000 suit wearing, tick, what can we do this week to him? The lie, and then getting everybody that he's supporting him to repeat the lie, is just like you're scratching your head, and then...
I don't know who's running his campaign. I suspect it's the Labour Party.
Oh my God! I tell you what. We talked about this last week, but then on Thursday, be caught out bunking off from the international part of the memorial, and then says, "Oh, well, my itinerary was scheduled. Dictates what I had to do." It's not like he's like a teenager, like Kevin from Harry Enfield.
I think he actually is. There seems to be something teenager-ish about him. He's very, very tetchy. Has got quite a temper on him. He's moody when anything doesn't go his way, because I would imagine that up to this point in his life, everything has gone his way.
Do you know what, Nick? I think that's so unfair of you saying that. But do you know, the guy who did the interview, I think he was a Sky reporter. He was interviewed earlier this evening about his experience with the interview. I don't know if you caught that or not. And he actually was giving his opinion on how he felt the interview went, and he commented that during the interview, Titchy Suit Size seemed extraordinarily tense.
Yeah.
And also quite, very rigid and very...
Tetchy.
Well, tetchy, petulant, like he didn't really feel the apology. Not that you couldn't tell in the video. He looked like he was spitting the words out. And then later on, he got heckled by the angry GP, just to add to what a wonderful day.
I know.
The woman screaming at him that that the NHS has been disintegrated, and he did that fake laugh that he does.
Yes, painful.
Oh, my God.
Well, maybe we won't have to suffer not forever, Chris. Keep that in mind. This is not our future. That's not been set. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Ian says, I'm surprised Fishy didn't say, I'm very sorry, but I had a plan and I was sticking to the plan and everyone else didn't have a good plan. Like this.
We have a plan, and plan, or you just go back to square one. That's why it's so important we stick to this plan, because we have a plan, we put that plan in place, where there is absolutely no plan. Right? We have got a plan, that plan is working. If we stick with it, we can deliver a brighter future for the country. But like my main message is plan, plan and plan, plan and plan, plan, no plan.
This is LBC. LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
Everything is going extremely well. Just pretend you didn't hear that. 0345 6060 973. Sean says the Tories think they're born to rule. They need to be humbled. Yeah, I don't think they do humble. I don't think that's in their lexicon. It's not in the range of emotions that they possess. Humbled, no. Will says, who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Sunak, if you think oldies in England are dumb? Let's have Oldbury. Hello, Branches.
How are you, Nick? You okay, mate?
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, just on a lighter note before we get started deep into it. I just had my first £20 note with the picture of the king on there.
Have you?
Yeah. I thought they could have made a bit more effort, actually, looking at it, yeah. Because all they've done is superimpose the picture of taking the one head off and put the other head on there.
Oh, it's really? It's the same?
It's exactly the same. I just thought, hang on, I've just been cashing up. I thought, it's a fake. No, that's all it is. Just the same thing.
And is it only the £20 note that they've done that to? Yeah, so
well, I've only seen the £20 note. There's probably some more. What I'll do is I've got your WhatsApp number and I'll WhatsApp it to you. Lovely.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Just pop it in an envelope, and I'll regard it later at my leisure.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. And will you vote for me then?
Absolutely.
If I give you two £20 notes.
Definitely, yes. Two £20 notes is my price.
Okay, that's fine. Right,
I'm just looking at a picture of it right now. One moment, please. There he is. I don't know. It's on the £20 notes blue.
They're kind of purplish.
Right. Well, this one's brown.
Oh well, then you got a duddy one.
No. I'm looking at the. I'm looking at eBay. Why would they be selling money on eBay? Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. A new pack of 3 King Charles novelty.
Novelty.
£20 novelty cash banknotes, 2-sided. Oh, right. Okay, so that's not the real thing. Right.
No, well, that's the... And the good thing about what Rishi Sunak done yesterday, there is something good. He can never talk about conscription again. Never, because he can't tell our children to go and get ready to fight for this country when he can't respect the people that have already died for us. You follow what I mean?
I think that he probably will do that, assuming that we will forgive and forget.
No, you see, you always go on about that the older people vote the Tories.
They do.
And the older people are the ones that today is really kind of alienated.
Well, I suppose so, but only if they hear the news.
No, yeah, you're right there. And I think on one of the programmes today, have you seen that film Brewster's Millions? With Richard Pryor in?
If I did, it was a long time ago, and I don't remember anything about it.
All right, basically, right, I want to talk about the film. Rishi Sunak's reward's going to be when he totally finishes off the Tory party, right, when there's none left, right? That is going to be his reward. I think that's what he's doing. His mission self-destruct. That's what he's trying to do.
If he's trying to destroy the Conservative Party, he's doing a bang-up job. If he isn't, then somebody needs to have a word, a brief chat in his ear.
Now, the thing is, Nick, when he was going to record this TV programme with Paul Brand, okay? What was wrong with... I mean, Paul, I'm sure, you know Paul Brand. He would have waited for Rishi Sunak, to record it later on yesterday night or early this morning. Or
he's not busy.
He's not... No, he might be busy. He's a good journalist, just like yourself, right? But
no, I'm not a journalist. Go on.
But what I'm saying is, what he done was showed sheer contempt, right, for everybody, not just Great Britain, the whole of the world. Oh, by the way, I need to say hello to one of your number ones. Came to see me again from Newmarket.
Yes.
Hello. Matthew,
Hello.
real good guy. He totally understands the way you do your program.
Happy. Hi, how are you?
Yeah. I mean, basically, you know, Rishi Sunak, right? There's the king there, right? He's had, I don't know, cancer surgery. There was people there couldn't stand up. They had to be in wheelchairs or whatever. And this guy, all he showed, right, was that he's interested in trying to keep his job.
But mystifying me. I really don't know why. Why is he interested in keeping this job? I don't understand.
No, okay. All the political parties had the truth that yesterday no one was going to discuss politics or nothing. They was going to have a day off, which was good, which showed unity, okay? He doing reverse psychology.
He forced us to.
Yeah, he's doing reverse psychology, right? He's thinking, what can I really do now, right? That will definitely get me out of the fire, and I get the sack, right? That I don't have to.
I don't think that's it. No, he doesn't want the sack. I think he wants to win and then leave on his terms. He doesn't want to leave as a loser. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of as to why he is so desperate to cling on to this job. It's a job that he's obviously unsuited for, and that he's no good at, and doesn't pay anything. I mean, the man's absolutely minted. Why does he want to do a job that doesn't pay anything? I don't get it. Other than there's something other at foot. Yeah, Ranjit, I've got to go, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Chris says Sunak is spectacularly bad at his job. Any leader who uses the excuse that his itinerary is beyond his control is demonstrating that he didn't know that he just follows what he's told, that he has no power to change his schedule, and that he doesn't question his schedule. I do not believe that Sunak has no control of his own schedule and timing, says Chris. At this point, Larry the cat would do a better job, and if he didn't, you could simply say, well, what do you expect? He's a cat. That is true. That cat is a cat. That is undeniable. This says, he stood in the rain without an umbrella, instead he had a plan. On reflection, perhaps we should have expected something like this. Well, he keeps telling us that he's got a plan, but not what the plan is.
We have a plan, or you just go back to square one.
Yes, just go back to square one. Can we do that straight away, if not sooner? Pretty please with sugar on top? I'm begging you. Sheffield, hello, Jessica.
Yeah, hello there, Nick.
Jessica.
I spoke to you last week about Rishi and my thoughts about how he's being presented to the general voting public.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that I could just tell you what I thought about this week.
Okay.
Well, we started, I'm going to caveat it by saying, I'm going to include in this week when he rocked up somewhere, a farm, I'm assuming, because he was in front of a farming instrument that had got indentations that made him look like Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse. Which made him look goofy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Every photographer, every videographer, every PR person must have seen it, but they don't care because they were,
Well, the funny pictures make more money. So you would think it would be up to his team not to keep putting him in front of embarrassing things. But it's almost as though they've got some sort of... It's like they've got some sort of bet on. How can we top him in front of a sign that said moron? Hold my pint.
We moved on to in being in a pub on a riverbank. A riverbank pub. And with random people, mostly women, white women. The minute the Lib Dems got the sniff of that, they said, let's hire a boat and go past him. And let's not be aggressive. Let's be passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
And wave
our flags.
And look pleasant.
That's right, yeah.
Warning. Let that happen. Anyway, then we moved on to the ITV debate with Keir Starmer that needs to rein it in a little bit and start concentrating on not making
Yeah.
And
Try to
random point.
be even slightly likeable.
Yeah, make some points that matter to historical Labour voters, unless you want to completely die. No, I mean, just not win. And then we moved on to today, where, Rishi left the DD Day commemorations. None of us would be here today, Nick, doing what we're doing if it hadn't been for that sacrifice. But he sacrificed that, saying hi to all those veterans, probably for the last time, because he got an ITV interview.
Yes.
So apparently had been booked in advance. Well, how long did you know that we were going to be calling it?
Yes.
Because we only found out 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And I think the D-Day date was set somewhat earlier than that. Yes.
I don't know who's managing him, but
Who's
they're
got
not
his
poor at their
diary?
job.
It's
They've given
mystery.
up.
Yeah,
They've gone, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's a bloodbath. Let's see what happens on the 4th of July.
Right.
My birthday, I'm so looking
Your
forward to
birthday? Well, happy birthday in advance, Jessica. Let's hope so. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
0345 6060 973. Adrian says, the pain we are about to suffer. Euro 2024 starts in a week. Wall-to-wall football. That means good TV like The Chase will be taken off. It's not like we can sit outside and enjoy the nice weather while this goes on for a month. At this rate, I'll have to start a conversation with someone just for something to do. Yeah, it's a week from today. Germany, Scotland it starts. You believe that? How exciting. Well, apart from the Iceland result, which does rather limit our expectations. Another one of those. 0345 6060 973. Walthamstow. Hello, Kim.
Oh, hello.
Kim.
Hello. I wasn't expecting to get on.
It's you. Believe it.
It is me. It is me. And I haven't spoken to you before, I don't think, Nick. So thank you.
Thank you.
And hello.
Hello.
It's so long ago.
Yes.
I've forgotten what I wanted to talk about. No, I do know. The mysterious E. coli.
Oh.
It's so mysterious, isn't it? And only not. I had an episode, which I won't go into any detail because it wouldn't be appropriate.
Thank you.
But I've started, and then I heard this thing on the news about this mysterious thing. So it's something that's, distributed around the country, but no one's saying what it is. And I kept opening my fridge and thinking, is it you? Is it you? And I'm actually talking to things in my fridge.
Yes.
So, is it the cheese? Is it the ham?
Yeah.
Is it, dare I eat anything?
It's
What
the
should I
salmon.
do?
It's the salmon mousse, Kim.
I haven't got salmon mousse. I'm not that posh, mate.
Right.
But then I thought, is this some sort... And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Trust me, I really am not. But then I thought, is this some sort of new Tory Sunak thing? In the absence of a war, he's going to save us from this mysterious E. coli outbreak.
Yeah.
So I suddenly, on the 3rd of July, or the 2nd of July, announcing what this is and saving us all from this horrendous death.
Yes, he's going to wrestle that E. coli to the floor and vanquish it for us all.
And
Appreciate it, Fishy.
We'll all know not to have that sausage roll, or not to buy anything from a X company or whatever. And it's just but it's weird, isn't it?
It really is weird. An urgent health warning has been issued after an E. coli outbreak, and you're advised to avoid a nationally distributed food item.
Exactly. And I kept rereading it and re-listening to it, and I'm thinking, but what are they telling us to do then? And presumably, E. coli can be very, very serious. And a friend of mine's a nurse, and she said, this is absurd because it can, with people that are vulnerable to of certain things.
Well, the last time I looked,
It can kill you.
37 people have been hospitalised.
Yeah. So why are they saying this? And I heard it again this morning, that it's this nationally distributed food
I mean, for
stuff.
crying out loud, you don't have to be Inspector Columbo to figure out what 37 people have in common, do you?
Exactly.
Just ask them what they ate last.
But is it because, do you think it's because it's,
Yeah, for heaven's sakes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You just forgot yourself just for a moment.
I did forget myself, yeah. But is it because it's a famous company, or is it's a famous supermarket, or
I don't know, but it does seem remarkable that they haven't been able to figure out what 37 people have in common. It's not even 37. It's 81. 81 cases last time I looked.
Yeah,
no, it's worse than that. It's 113.
Yeah, and
how can you not determine what 113 people have in common? For crying out loud!
It's grown day by day, and they're not telling us what not to eat.
Maybe
have you seen the movie Soylent Green?
It's people. You're eating people.
See, that could be.
It could be that.
Another,
yeah, it could
another
be.
Tory thing about getting everyone back into
work,
being able to deal.
Those people who are slackers, the people who are benefit cheats, will be ground up into beef patties. And served at your favourite burger outlet.
But who's going to be Charlton Heston? That's the thing. There's no one in the Tory party that could be Charlton Heston, is there?
Well, if it's going to be somebody, it will have to be in the Tory party. You know, you can prize this gun out of my cold dead hands. That guy.
Oh God, it's going to be bloody Nigel Farage.
Well, it's going to be. I think Penny Mordaunt. Penny Mordaunt has to be. Because I mean, she likes holding large weapons in her. I think Angela Rayner is actually lucky she didn't get a sword plunged through her during that debate on TV this evening. But I think the best thing, Kim, is try to avoid eating or drinking anything from this moment on. Can you do that?
Yes, I think I'm on the vodka, I think, so...
yeah, that's right.
I'll probably kill everything.
You'll be safe with that.
Booze.
Yeah, all right, good work. Thanks a lot, Kim. Yeah, in case you missed the news. An urgent health warning has been issued.
Warning, warning.
It's a warning to avoid... We've got no idea. I hope you're writing this stuff down. An unspecified number of people are being treated in hospital due to the outbreak, which is caused by an unspecified thing. I really can't be more precise than that. The UKHSA, the United Kingdom Health Security Agency, said testing indicates that most of the 113 cases reported in the UK are part of a single outbreak, but did not give more details about the food item thought to be responsible. My money's on the duck pâté. It's like it's a game of fridge Russian roulette. The next thing you eat might kill you. Bon appétit. We've got no idea what it is. How can they not know? Apart from they, like every other organisation that is supposed to protect us, has been defunded due to austerity, which is due to a certain individual.
I think this is nonsense.
Mentioning no names. An urgent health warning. What's the point of giving an urgent health warning if you're not telling us what the warning is about? I mean, it's like start the news bulletin with...
Warning, warning.
You're all in great danger because of something, but we can't tell you what it is. Good luck. 0345 6060 973. This text says, it was notable that Mordaunt didn't dare use the shouty tactics on Nigel Farage. Yeah, he was one of the few people on that stage that actually spoke without interruption. I mean, what he said didn't really seem to go down very well with the audience, apart from the hang 'em and flog 'em routine for knife crime. Carla Denyer, the Greenie, said that crime is due to deprivation, which is the right answer. Give people hope, give people a job, give people some dignity in their life, and they probably won't be hanging around on a street corner waiting to knife someone. They'll be tucked up in bed, exhausted at having put in an 8-hour day. Community policing, said Carla Denyer. That's the answer. Penny Mordaunt says the Tories have reduced crime by 55%. Like a robot coming out with this stuff.
Affirmative.
Like robotic. Just spewing out the spurious stats. She said the Conservative Party have reduced crime by 55%, which is incorrect. They didn't. What they did do was ignore fraud, which is about half of all crime. Now, if a fraudster steals your money, would you feel as though you had been the victim of crime? Any less so than if they'd taken it from your wallet in the street. But they ignored fraud to come up with that. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't go the whole hog and reclassify crime as not crime, thereby eliminating all crime. The Conservative Party have eliminated crime. We have got rid of 100% of all crime. Can you believe that? Yes. The Tories have reduced crime by 55% and put 20,000 more police officers on the streets. And that's not true too. That's not true, not too either. Because they fired, well, not fired, but they let go something like 22,000 police officers and 22,000 backroom staff. And they closed half the magistrates' courts and half of the police stations. So the notion that they put 20,000 more police officers on the street is like taking £20 off you and giving you £10 back and saying that they have given you £10. Well, yes, but what about the 20 you took? Angela Rayner, her answer to knife crime was to point out that Penny Mordaunt was lying. And Nigel Farage got a ripple of applause by saying, more stop and search, tougher sentences, kill 'em all. You know, words to that effect. And no such thing works. Because we've done that before and it didn't work. But, you know, if at first you don't succeed, keep doing the same thing over and over again. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Bodmin. Malcolm.
Give me Nick.
Yes,
I'll give
Malcolm.
you a minute. Yeah. I think that Sunak's issue is twofold. And it's probably 55-45% split. The one is he came back from an interview with Paul Brand, and Paul Brand spoke about circumstances of the interview last night on social media.
Right,
But
this is the
Paul
guy from
Brand-
ITN.
Yeah, and he's the fella who investigated and exposed Boris Johnson's Partygate. So Boris Johnson's demise was largely down to Paul Brand of the parish you're in now, actually.
Yeah.
He does.
Paul Brand,
where you are.
yeah, cruelly exposed Boris Johnson's business meetings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that Sunak thinks that because he was anti-Johnson, he might be pro-Sunak. And I think there might be a bit of something to that, having listened to him quite seriously on LBC. I think he's got a bit of that side of politics in him.
Having listened to who?
Paul Brown.
Oh.
I think he is. I think he's on the right side of things.
Do you mean correct or right-wing side?
No, I mean the right wing of politics. So I think Sunak.
I don't know about that.
I honestly think Sunak justifiably thought, I'm going to get back to do this interview with this fella because I think it could be good for me. But the thing is, look, the interview Paul Brown did with him, the interview, Nick, that Paul Brown did with him is simply one of ITV's interviews with the leaders. Paul Brown will be doing one with Starmer Ed Davey and whoever else, yeah?
Right.
Farage maybe. It's a series anyway. But then the other aspect is, I think that Sunak, and I think it's largely down to his personality and his bent for Brexit. I don't think he likes European leaders, and he definitely... No, seriously. And
he left the D-Day commemorations because he doesn't like European leaders. Do me a favour.
No, he has got a thing. Well, let me. You finish this thought very quickly, and then I'll throw another thing at you. And Biden has made it clear that he can't stand Sunak or the Conservative Party, and that's been reported on several times.
Well, I've never seen Joe Biden say that he can't stand Sunak or the Conservative Party.
No, Nick, of course you haven't said it, but go back
Well, where do you get that from? If he hadn't said it.
Well, around about the time of Sunak's Irish agreement, and it's not that Joe Biden came over and he went to Ireland and he didn't spend any time with the government of our country. But the other aspect of that, Nick, is this. When there was a gathering recently of Hungary, Italy, and one or two others, right-wing populist leaders. And Sunak went over to this meeting, and he had a big hug and a cuddle with the very right-wing Italian leader on stage. Do you recall that?
Giorgio Meloni.
Yes. And so I think he's very close to the European leaders on the right of politics.
Well, yeah.
But he doesn't have much time for people like... First and foremost, for nations, and therefore people like Macron, Schultz, and various others. So the western flank of Europe, so to speak, to be honest with you.
Where the money is, which would be particularly silly from a man whose whole life is revolving around money.
Well, and you've got Brexit, Nick, being an isolationist pastime, isn't it? Let's face it. You've got Farage. You got Sunak, you had Boris Johnson, who wanted to be the king of the world himself and not be part of a friendly, cooperative world, so to speak. They're individuals who want, the world for themselves. I think Sunak, I think that was Sunak's problem. And I think that his inevitable end was going to be a sticky one because of...
No, it won't. It won't be a sticky one at all. He'll be covered in powder and perfumed on an hourly basis as he relaxes in his chaise on the rooftop area of his splendid seaside mansion in California, or whatever other of his many houses he happens to be at the time. Are you kidding me? Sticky end. Malcolm, got to go. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
Jerry says, to add to the list of terrible PR advisors for the Prime Minister, today he visited a primary school located in Veterans Way. I think the best thing that his election team could do is to make him stay at home, not leave the house till July the 5th. That sounds like a plan. And Jane says, I need to lose a stone. Where can I get the poisonous mystery food? Just do a major shop at your local supermarket, Jane. It'll be in there somewhere. Ealing, Mohammed.
Hi, Nick. How you doing, buddy, as always?
Good,
evening.
thanks. Yes.
What I wanted to say, Nick, it's been an absolute disastrous week for the Tories and the Conservative Party. Look at the performance of Rishi Sunak on the ITV debate, the disastrous, leaving the yesterday the D-Day commemorations in Normandy. Today, with the doctor heckling him over down there as well, it's been absolutely disastrous this week, and it's been absolutely disastrous for the country over the last 14 years.
But his people said that he won the debate with Keir Starmer.
Absolutely not. Sir Keir won that by a country mile and some, more, you know. And then you got the fallout of that. On the very next day, it was proven by the Permanent Secretary of State to the Treasury that the assumption that everyone was going to be £2,000 poorer was a load of lie.
Well, what they said was it wasn't from us. It was not official government figures, which is what Fishy and his acolytes were telling us that it was.
Exactly.
And then the Tories changed their story and said, oh, well, it wasn't just those figures, it was other figures as well, and it's all put in a big melting pot, and out came this figure, which is statistically accurate, so they said, £2,000. And then some other bright spark did the maths on the Tories' promises, and their tax rises would be £3,000.
Exactly, and he always says, Rishi, the best phrase he comes up with every single time is, I've got a plan. I don't see a plan. The country doesn't see a plan. The world doesn't see a plan. I don't even think his own reflection in the mirror sees a plan.
He just says the word plan a lot. That's the plan, just to say plan.
Exactly. I don't know what I see. I don't know. It's like I'm in a nightmare movie. I'm dreaming a nightmare.
Yeah, the bad news, Mohammed, is that when you wake up, it'll still be there.
Exactly. And then over across the Atlantic, you got Uncle Donald and his fiasco.
My God, yeah.
And Sleepy Joe as well.
It's just, well, I don't know. I mean, if it sounds to me very much like the end of the world as we know it, and I'm feeling fine. How about you?
I'm feeling absolutely optimistic.
Optimistic?
I think I need to...
There you go.
I know, tell me about it. But hopefully we should, have faith in our youth, and hopefully we should get some nice, great leaders for the future from our youth. And that's the only faith and hope I think we have in this country at the moment and the world.
The kids? What, you mean those people who have got their faces buried in their phones? Those people?
Well, look at the adults. Look at the adults, Nick. Look at the adults.
I know.
You've got Sir Keir, you've got Uncle Rishi, Uncle Donald, Sleepy Joe, Macron and his, dancing and his wine.
That whole French thing going on over there. Yeah.
Vladimir going on top of a lion. Look at the leaders we've got across the world. It's absolutely disgusting.
Vladimir was going on a lion.
I saw a picture of him on top of a lion once upon a time.
Yeah, that lion has since died in a curious high-rise fall from a block of flats. Thanks a lot, Mohammed. 0345 6060 973. This anonymous text says, stop going on about how they all looked in the debate. I'm more interested in what they said. Yeah, the thing is, people don't really make up their minds about what people say. They make up their minds about what people look like. And every single person on that stage did not just show up like that. They had teams of people surrounding them like clouds of flies, zhushing them in just the most precise way so that they look like that. I mean, Penny Mordaunt's hair, that must have taken hours. I bet it took all day to make her hair helmet look like that. And as for the others, I mean, it was like, I don't know, it was a bit like a sort of a Blue Peter job tryout. I mean, there was the one that was all in green, and there was the one that was all in red with flashes of orange on the red. It was a bit like people trying out to be a presenter of Play School, looks-wise. None of them just showed up looking like that. It was all planned, and the reason for that is because that's why that's us. We're very, very superficial people. People will remember what they look like more than remember what they said. And apart from anything else, you know what they were going to say on any given subject. Give me a subject and I'll tell you what they said. Somebody who didn't even watch that programme could do that. So I will not stop going on about how they all looked. Although, in my defence, I haven't mentioned that in the last like hour and a half. I started out like that, but then I got onto more substantive issues. Can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but leave it with me and I'll give you a full list after this break. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Helen texts, surely being photographed with peers of world leaders would have been more impressive than an interview that he had to desert the Normandy beaches for, wouldn't it? Says Helen. Helen is very cross. Busby texts, ironic that Rishi Sunak wants to bring in national service, yet can't stay at a D-Day memorable day. Memorable day. It was a memorable day, but that's not what you meant. Taunton. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Oh, excellent. I was just talking to the producer earlier. I know one of your heroes, or your big hero in radio, is Neil Rogers.
Yes.
And when I was in my teens, I used to listen to a radio phone-in programme, a bloke called Alan Bezic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he worked for the BBC at one time, but he was in the Northwest on something called Red Rose Radio, and he did a phone-in programme.
Right.
And he was very entertaining.
Okay.
But I just wondered, when was the first time that you heard Neil Rogers, and, were you immediately inspired by him?
An old friend who went to America sent me a cassette of Neil Rogers from AM radio. It's probably WIOD or one of those stations. And it was like a life-changing moment. I put it on. I could not believe what I was listening to. Some guy was incredibly rude and playing all of these clips of people who had called into his show, just like I do.
Yes,
like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. So I changed my show on Radio Luxembourg overnight from a top 40 radio, hey, DJ, that kind of thing, to a talk show without telling anybody in management.
Right.
I just did it.
And they didn't say to you, can you go back to...
Nobody said a word. I don't think management were listening. I don't think they cared.
Nobody cared.
No.
Oh, that's really good. Well, I just really love your show, and I love your work, and I just think, you are a radio presenter with material.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, appreciate that, John. Thank you. And it's all thanks to Neil Rogers. Thanks, Neil. Neil Rogers is still dead, by the way, but his shows are available on the World Wide Web. Ask for them by name, The Neil Rogers Show. Thanks, John. This Busby... No, I've read that one. JB says, Rishi Sunak has as much gravity as a character from The Inbetweeners. Well, which one? He's a detached teenager who loves Diet Coke. Okay. He does seem detached. Yeah, that's true. He does seem like a detached teenager. Actually, that's quite accurate. And, it's like everything's so unfair. This text says, Mordaunt is an empty space. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate as well. She does appear to be empty inside. Just, like a robot spewing out the lines that have been programmed into her.
Affirmative.
Mordaunt is an empty space, says this one. She has no political ideology, no ideas, no meaningful position on anything. She carried a sword and dived on a reality show. She's got nothing else except complaints and bad hair. Bad hair? Well, it may have been bad, but at least it was expensive. Bath. Hello, John.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I just wish somebody would put Rishi Sunak out of our misery. Because I just don't understand. He's so awkward. When he did his little kind of debate with Keir Starmer, he came across so tetchy and kind of, spoiled.
Yes. Well, he's never heard the word no. He's gone through his life on a perfume cloud of loveliness, and nothing has ever stood in his way, and he's never had any impediment to progress, and money just pours all over him. And if you've led a life like that, then you probably can't understand why other people aren't like you.
I mean, I think politically, he could lose the political race against himself. He just does all the work for everybody else. And the interesting thing as well is, I was thinking, why is he in such a tetchy mood? He wears an ill-fitting suit, a hair suit.
What is that suit? Yes, I mean, I can't remember whether I actually did tweet it or not, or whether I wrote it and then just cancelled it because it seemed superficial. But there was a picture of him and his wife looking at a plane going overhead. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
And you can see the back of his jacket, and no part of it actually fits his form. And so I tweeted, but I may have just deleted it before I tweeted it. But it was something in the order of, I know your suit's made to measure, but who is it made to measure?
Yes, exactly. A small school child. But I don't, but also he fasts voluntarily 3 days a week. That must get him in a bad mood. He drinks Diet Coke, as one of your callers just said.
He fasts voluntarily 3 times a week. Well, for how long? Between lunch and dinner? How long does he fast for?
3 days a week. Apparently 3 days out of the week he doesn't eat.
Rubbish.
I mean, that's going to put you in a bad mood.
I don't believe that.
I don't either. I haven't seen footage of this, and I'd like to see it if he is actually abstaining from something. I
mean, not to be too picky about it, but he does appear to have something of a middle-aged tire around his stomach. So, if he's not eating for 3 out of 4 days a week, where's that come from? He doesn't even drink, does he?
No, he doesn't. This is the thing. So this is why he probably is in such a foul mood all the time. He's snapping with everybody. He wants a biscuit.
Yeah, but he can't have one. Yeah.
But also, Nigel Farage was on television and he was being interviewed after the milkshake incident.
Oh, yeah.
And he seems like he was slightly shocked by it, and he said he wasn't sure what was inside.
I thought he's used to wearing milkshakes, isn't he?
Well, this is it. He said, you never really know what's inside the thing thrown on you. I just thought, well, I've got a bit of advice for you. Stop doing your conferences near places that they serve liquids.
Yes.
Because he's either in a pub. The last time he was locked in a pub with his family, there was a watering hole. He'd had 2 milkshakes thrown over.
It's just asking for it. That's right. You're supposed to put it on the inside, Nigel, not wear it on the outside.
Well, this is it. And I think secretly he was kind of glad as well, because it made the news about him that day.
You know what? I think the news would probably have been about him anyway, because he has the same effect on news people as Donald Trump does in America. Whether they probably disagree with everything that he says and stands for, but they can't stop pointing their cameras at him because he's box office.
I think, this E. coli thing?
Yeah.
As well, this perplexing everybody as to what it is that's causing this thing. I remember a while ago, I don't know if you remember it was the bean sprouts that was giving people E. coli.
Bean sprouts?
Yeah, the stuff you have in Chinese food, the kind of bean sprouts. It was a rogue batch of bean sprouts, and I can't imagine it's going to be something as specific as that. But I know that when the rowers went in the water, they said, don't go in because of E. coli.
Don't get any of that Thames water on your shoes, for crying out loud.
But that's it, Nick. I'm wondering if the people that have been affected by this are all part-time rowers.
Somebody should definitely look into that. You may have cracked it, John. Excellent work, that man. Thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. Don't go in that water. You don't know what's in there. Well, you do know what's in there, which is an excellent reason not to do it. Graham says, let's reduce the election to childish jibes about how people look and their hair and what they're wearing. OK, then. If you insist. I mean, come on. Nobody on that stage was telling the truth. Certainly not for all of the time that they were speaking. And even if they were telling the truth as they understand it at this moment, you know that they have absolutely no intention of carrying any of the things that they were promising through if they were to be elected on the 4th of the month. So why not? What they're wearing gave off vibes. It gave off information. We're a visual species. Mido texts, Labour's best PR team are working for the Prime Minister's PR department. But I think there are people within the Prime Minister's team that appear to be actively working against him. And Anthony, on that subject, says, please, tell Rishi to put the shovel down. Yeah, stop digging. 0345 6060 973. Ilford. Philip.
Hello.
Yes, Philip.
Hello, Nick. Yes, I've got 3 points, if that's all right.
Okay.
If that's allowed. 3 things that are not discussed. It's not about D-Day, it's about the election. First thing, Nick, you are famous for your terminology. I'd like to introduce the term free movers.
Free movers?
Free movers. We talk about immigration before and after Brexit and how now we have control of our borders. But what we had before, they weren't immigrants in the main, they were free movers. The free movement of people, people were free movers. I'll give you 2 examples. My Polish hairdresser, Ivana.
Ivana does excellent work, I hear.
Not that one.
Oh, the other one, right.
Yes.
Oh, well, you want to watch out for Ivana.
She was Polish and she lived on the Russian border in Poland. She came over after New Europe, came into the EU years ago, 10, 20 years ago. She was a hairdresser, and 3 times a year she would join her Polish friends. They would get in a car and spend 2 days driving back to the Russian border in Poland, near the Russian border. And she came. So she would earn money over here, and she was trying to build a house over there. So as the Polish economy was rising, or people from here would go over and buy houses over there and make a mint as Poland got wealthier. But they would come over here and earn relatively high wages to then take back over there. Right. And within 10 years, she went back. She was a free mover. She could have been classified as an immigrant when she came in, but then she went back. And the net immigration was 0, because who in their right mind, when Poland rises to the level of old Europe, would want to live here when they could live back home on a decent salary? They've got a better house than everyone else because they've been earning British wages, sending the money back. Yeah. And she was laughing. Second example, Jakob. He came over here, lived in my street. He bought a garage. I don't know how he got it off the house owner, but this garage he converted over a period of a year into a 2-bedroomed house, tiny little narrow house. He lived in that garage house over the months, and he was Romanian. Again, New Europe, he came over here. He didn't even pay rent, so he would be paying into the NHS with his income, but he wouldn't have to pay rent. He wasn't sort of screwed by the Rentier Society. And then he went back to Romania. Again, he's a free mover. He was contributing to the NHS, but not taking from it. He was a young man on his own, and he went back. So free mover, they used to call them immigrants. Yeah. But nowadays, after Brexit, we have people from, I don't want to be xenophobic here, but the facts, as I see it, are anyone coming from Bangladesh now, the new immigrants, if you like, or the post-Brexit immigrants, where we're getting people from the NHS, anyone coming from Bangladesh or the Philippines coming here, they would be mad not to stay. Who wants to go back to countries which are desperately poor when if they got a chance to stay, they would stay? Yeah,
the promise of closing our borders off to white Eastern Europeans is what got a lot of people to put their tick next to let's get out of Europe. Brexit, that's what they voted for. Now we've got 1 million people came to this country. 85% of immigrants are now non-EU. They're mostly Indian, Nigerian, Chinese, Pakistani, and Zimbabwean. And if the people who voted for Brexit to stop white Europeans coming here and having had them replaced in larger number by Indians, Nigerians, Chinese, Pakistani, and Zimbabweans, if that's what they voted for, then I'm a Knickerbocker Glory with cream on top.
No, absolutely. And it is a myth that what is it? The Conservatives talk about reducing immigration. The Conservatives are no longer what Thatcher was, sort of, for the top 50% against the bottom 50%. They're the top 0.01% or the top 1,000 people against everybody. They are for cheap
Well, that's where the money
is. Immigration. And they talk about illegal immigration to divert the attention from the fact that they actually want cheap foreign labour from Bangladesh, whereas people from Poland and Romania were actually a bit more expensive because their economy is second world instead of almost third world. We're going to even cheaper labour by having people from poorer countries.
Yes, and you know whose fault that is?
Whose?
Ours. It's our fault because we insist on things being cheap. We want to buy things for less than the cost of their production. And that's what we want with food. I mean, food in this country is, and has been for a considerable number of years, very cheap, particularly compared to our European neighbours. We've got cheap food here. Partly it's because the major supermarkets are in a fight to the death to present us with cheap food. And they keep... And the supermarkets aren't going to take the cut, so they make the producers of the food take less money so that they can put it on the shelves and beat their competition for price. And the result of that is that the producers of the food are either going out of business or they are, or their standards are falling. Or which means that the produce that they're making is. I mean, how many times have you bought tomatoes at the supermarket and don't taste of anything? I mean, that's just so common, isn't it? I mean, stuff that used to taste of something doesn't anymore. Why? Because they're force producing it, because it's cheaper. And why are they doing that? Because we insist on it being cheap. But as is the case with almost everything, it's our fault for the choices that we make. Philip, I've got to go, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. 0345 6060 973. Sam says, who on earth is advising Rishi Sunak? Is this the same communications director who made him stand in the rain for his speech and then sent him to the Titanic? My cat could do a better job, says Sam. It really is a catalogue of hilarity so far, isn't it? I mean, what is he going to do next? Going to send him to a neonatal clinic and he'll kick babies. Andrew says, do we know what Armando Iannucci is doing these days? Standing a politician in front of a sign to make them look stupid is lifted straight from the thick of it. I've still not seen that programme. Because it was a British comedy programme, I just assumed it wouldn't be funny, so I didn't watch it. Huddersfield, hello, David.
I think it's time you stop picking on Rishi Sunak because of his height.
Right.
It's a racial characteristic with him being a borrower.
Okay.
The other thing is, it's unpatriotic to keep picking on him over coming back early from France.
Yes.
Obviously, he was saving his money because he had a helicopter waiting.
That's right.
Right. The other thing is...
Because it's like a cab. If you don't show up within the first 5 minutes, then they start to charge you waiting time. That's right.
Yeah, I think he has it on a rota basis. So...
a listener with material.
Oh, no.
A rota basis. Oh, I'm in pain.
It's better quality material than his jacket.
Get on with it, David.
You get on with it. So anyway, it's your fault. It's your show. You know that.
Yes, I do. Anyway, everything on this show is my fault, yes.
And you let me on. Nigel Farage, fantastic fella. He's very honest. And what he said was on day one of his campaign, he was challenged about having stood as an MP 17,000 times before and lost.
Yeah.
And what he said was his previous party wasn't a party, it was a pressure group. And so now, he did actually said that. And
his current party isn't a party, it's a company.
That's true, and it's the company he keeps that we need to worry about. But he's here now, knowing that the right-wing vote is being split. And so therefore there's no chance of him being in government in any universe whatsoever. So he said, I'm just going to shout from the sidelines and cause them all mayhem. So we know, because he's told us, that he doesn't want power, he's the anti-Spider-Man.
Yeah,
whereas Spider-Man...
I think you got that wrong. He does want power. He wants to do a reverse takeover of the Conservative Party. He fancies himself as the next Tory party leader.
That's influence, not power. I don't think he wants governance. As I said, he's the reverse Spider-Man. Spider-Man knew that great power comes with great responsibility. He wants the influence, but not the power of having to make decisions and being held accountable for them. So he gets to shout. And you said it about George Galloway. It's the same thing. He was in an MP before, but he achieved very little. I think that's what Nigel wants. He wants to achieve very little.
Well, what I said at the time about George Galloway coming in is because everybody was freaking out like it was the end of the world, and because he'd become an MP, and I just thought the reaction was completely over the top because he used to be an MP, and what happened then? I didn't say that he didn't really do anything. I was making the point that he was an MP already. Why is everybody freaking out? Because nothing happened before. Why would it happen now?
Yeah, you said he didn't achieve anything.
I didn't.
You did.
I
anyway,
didn't.
It doesn't matter. What if you did, though?
But I didn't.
All right, you say you didn't, so I'll take it that you say you didn't. But he's got a hat with more charisma than himself, as George. But Nigel has this act where he doesn't, as I've said it before, he doesn't really want to take ownership for any of his decisions. All the time he was in Europe, he was in Europe, got rest of us out of it. He had a cushy number, made a load of money, made himself famous. Yeah. So he doesn't want to govern. And as I say, Rishi's a borrower, so leave him alone.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, David. 0345 6060 973. Mick says the only reason Mordaunt kept shouting is because she loves to stand up and fight. Matt says, I want to be optimistic and have faith in a party too, but being too optimistic makes us compliant. What? It does? Oh, thank goodness I'm so dour then. Chris says, it's so obvious now that Sunak is doing everything he can not to get re-elected. What with national service and turning his back on D-Day, that I honestly would not be surprised if he announced wanting to bring back public hanging as a Tory party policy. Well, I think it might move their numbers upwards if he did that. I think there's a sizable number of the good people of this country who would be delighted if hanging was brought back, just as long as it was not applied to anybody they know. But if it's somebody else, then they'll arrive in the town square with, some sandwiches in a Tupperware box. And a pair of binoculars. Let's have Peterborough. Maurice.
Hello, Darren, Nick.
Yes, Maurice.
Well, I was dismayed by the absence of conversation within that 7-people tribunal.
Yeah.
Nothing about pensioners.
That's right.
Not one word issued there.
Well, I did miss the beginning of the programme because I got stuck in traffic. I wanted to be here, so I watched the whole thing, but I did miss the beginning of it. So I'll take your word that it wasn't mentioned
sadly,
early on.
On your behalf, I watched the whole
thing.
Very dull thing.
Right.
And not one word. And they've all missed a trick. Because there are 12.6 million pensioners in this country.
Yeah.
And if they think...
And you all vote. That's the key.
If they think that they've got any chance of having any sort of support from anybody who is a pensioner who has any form of intelligence, I think...
that's the key point there, though.
Nick, I think I do.
Right.
So, well, challenge me on that if you wish, but I'll bite back. And yes, thank you. That was enough. So, I believe they've missed a bloody big trick here. Sorry,
I would imagine that the Conservatives... No, that's all right. That's okay. I do believe the Conservatives think that they've got the over 65s in the bag. It's the 55 to 65s that they used to be able to rely on.
The Conservatives have nobody in the bag. The Conservatives have actually dumped on us. We were announced a £900 pension increase.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, but that was a lie.
One of the worst
That was a lie.
and meanest state pensions in the first world, and they're promising to keep it locked at that point. Big deal.
That was £900, and it was a lie because if you pay tax on it, it comes out at £720.
Right.
So the truth is, none of them have got a clue when it comes to pensioners.
None of the above, Morris.
We have, oh gosh, if only I could mobilise the troops of the old and decrepit to actually stumble our way on Westminster and crumble our way there, we would take it over with no teeth, and because most of us don't have any, and believe me, Nick, we would make a better country.
You don't have to have teeth, though, Maurice. Not for this task. You just have to have passion.
No, we have to have bollocks, which I've got.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Thanks, Maurice. A little bit too much information there. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. Just past 12:30, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
It's all about the substantive arguments and issues. You know, they might not have talked about the pensioners, as that nice man that I was just having a chat with was describing in detail. But they did talk about health on that programme today. And I wonder if this has been fact-checked by the various organisations yet, because Uncle Nige was banging on about the NHS, saying that basically it's broken and we must think of other ways of doing it. And I imagine what he had in mind was the American way, which would be a big mistake, huge. You'd have to be insane to go down the American route. No, he said, compare us with France. France, he says, spends the exact same amount of money as we do on their health service, and they have much, much better outcomes, which is both right and wrong. The right part is that they have much better health outcomes now, after 14 years of you-know-who. Not before, though. I mean, if we went back to square one, we would remember that we could see a GP within a week, and we didn't have to wait 16 hours in A&E before we got seen, and you could have a visit with a consultant once in a while before you actually died of the complications that sent you to the consultant in the first place. But he said that we spend the same amount as France do on our health service. No, that's not true. The spend per person in the UK, in dollar terms, and it's in US dollar terms because this was the comparison site that I looked it up. So US dollar terms, $5,492 in the UK. Per person, per year, $5,492. In France, $6,516. That's 20% more they spend in France. And you will be shocked and stunned to learn that they get better health outcomes. In Germany, it's $8,010 per person per head. So when he said that we spend the same amount and the outcome is worse, that was incorrect in every respect. Liar! Exactly. And by the way, the UK figure, as far as I'm aware, includes all the test and trace that we paid for but didn't get, and the PPE that didn't work, and all the grift and theft and fraud. All of that is added to the NHS spend to make it appear bigger than it actually is. I mean, it's amazing that we're all still alive. Osaka, Japan. Hello, John.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Listen to the quality... wait a minute. Listen to the quality of this line, everybody, for crying out loud. He's talking to us from Japan. This is the clearest line we've had on this show so far. Coming in like a bell. Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. I had this experience the other day that I thought I'd share with you and the listeners. Well, basically, I went for a bit of a night out with my friends, consumed some drinks, and ended up getting the last train home.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about a 45 minute train journey, but the problem was there's no toilets on this train. And as soon as I got on, I realised I was in big trouble. I needed to go pretty badly. Yeah. Right. So it was quite a long train ride, as you can imagine. It got physically painful towards the end, but I did manage it. And then once I got off that last stop, I sprinted out off the platform through the gates into the toilet, and the feeling when I let it all out, it wasn't just a physical relief. It was like a
religious experience.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. And then just this week, since the election campaign has begun, right, I feel like it's been every day really bad news for the Tories. They're going absolutely clobbered.
Yes.
And I just thought, it's a bit, I don't know, maybe...
kind of the same.
Holding something in for a long time that you really need to get out of your system. I don't want to call anyone like excrement or anything mean like that. But all I'm saying is, holding something in for a long time, and then when you can finally get it out, it feels, it's catharsis. And I've been seeing all this D-Day and this Titanic and all this, this and that, and it's quite fun. It feels good to see this news and see them having a bad time.
Yeah, I can't imagine what's going to happen next, but I do know that it's going to be funny.
Yeah. So
that's your little story about getting it all off your chest, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good work. Thanks a lot, John. He's got to let it out. He can't keep it in. Whatever that song's called. Oh, I can't keep it in. Sing! I can't keep it in. I got to let it out. Paul says, I'm waiting for Sunak to tell us that the only reason that Starmer stayed was because he had no other plans. Jeremy says, after recent farcical photo opportunities and the naive decision to leave the 80th anniversary of D-Day, it's as if we have Mr. Bean for a Prime Minister. The person who is running this government. Mr. Bean. He's a little bit Mr. Bean-ish, yes. If only he was as silent. Weatherby. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Nick. Sorry, we'll just take it up. What's this line like? Because I heard you say about the gentleman before.
It's not as good, but if you were calling from many, many thousands of miles away, it would be clearer.
Yeah, well, I am on a vintage landline.
Oh, yeah.
The song you were singing, just a quick point, is Cat Stevens.
Yes, that's right. Cat Stevens. I can't keep it in. I got to let it out.
Yeah, I would like to also quickly apologise for our misunderstanding last week.
Okay.
About the bar people.
The bar
people who work
people.
on bars.
People who work on bars.
Behind bars and, that work...
Prisoners?
No, pubs.
Okay, pubs.
But I would like to agree with you on the Rishi Sunak thing.
Can we go back to you apologising for something that I can't remember? What was it?
It was. I was saying about my friend who is training to be an events manager, but she worked behind a bar.
Oh yeah.
And you were saying it didn't need much skill.
Zero skill required.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I had a misunderstanding there.
I mean, you could be a good bar person. I worked in a pub for over 5 years, and I was really good at the end there, to the point that regulars would always shout, "Mine, when you ready, Nick?" because they knew that the other bar people were so... I mean, they were just sitting there.
I used to do that with Maisie. In fact, I named my pet Budgie after her. And I think even going on to the point that I called about, I think even she, as in the Budgie, not the person, would do a better job as our Prime Minister than Mr Sunak.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because he's just, like you said, he's been born into money. Oh, well, I don't know if you said those words. I apologise if I've got that wrong. But basically, he's one of these that's always had it, so he doesn't know the value of it.
Yes, and anybody that doesn't have a vast amount of money, it's somehow their fault. They are recalcitrant in some manner. They are slackers.
Yeah, and also you were saying about the Brexit voters that want rid of the white Eastern Europeans. Again, I'm sorry if I come across. I'm going to try and not be. I don't want to be offensive or anything.
But
to our overseas cousins, but I voted Brexit because of the people who come over here just to have children. Which I'm not saying they all do. I mean, a lot of the Polish, for example, come over here and work really hard. But there are some that come over here from anywhere in the world, not necessarily Poland, and they just come over here and have the children and claim.
Right, but where did you read that?
Well, I've experienced it firsthand because I live next door.
You've come from somewhere else and you've come over here to have children?
No, I've lived next door to people who have done such. They've come over here and had children and then not worked.
And then not worked. Well, that's a very unusual set of circumstances you've just described for us there, Jay, because people who come here from other countries are more industrious than we are, but which would be a fairly obvious conclusion. I mean, it takes some sort of nerve and trying to think of another word for cojones, but I can't. So I'll go with that. Lots of that in order to up sticks and move from your own country to come here. And people don't do that in order to lie around and avail themselves of our fabulous benefits system, because it isn't. They work more and pay more tax on average than people who are born here. So without them, we would be poorer by definition. But anyway, Jay, thanks for that. No doubt you'll call me next week to apologise for the phone call that we've just experienced. I'll look forward to it. Anthony says, it's not about money, it's about power. Presumably talking about Fishy Sunak. Yeah, but money is power and vice versa. So you can't distinguish the one from the other. This anonymous text says, I beg you, give me square one any day. Jeremy says, after recent farcical... No, I read that one. Mr. Bean. Yes. A little bit, yeah. Let's see now. Luton. Adam.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, so much has happened this week that, I mean, it kind of trumps. Like, during the week when the thing that I called up for actually happened, I thought, well, I must tell Nick that. But then so many other cluster rubbishes have happened that it kind of seems like nothing in comparison. But my automatic reaction to when Nigel Farage was milkshaked, and obviously I know I'm a hypocrite because I just heard on your news actually about the poor politician in Denmark, so obviously it's not good to throw things at elected officials. However,
or anybody for that matter.
Yeah, okay.
Well, okay, I'll back off that. Not necessarily anybody. I mean, there are some people that deserve a milkshake thrown at them, but I'm not...
Yeah.
Let's make a list.
But I mean, the thing that shocked me the most, much like you liking Beyonce, was the fact that he knew who Khalees was and made a pop culture reference. And I didn't know if he was trying to get down with the kids, because I just couldn't believe that Nigel Farage listens to hip-hop.
Nigel Farage made a Khalees reference. What did he say?
He said, my milkshake brings all the voters to the yard or something like that.
He did
and
not
it was
say
cringe,
that.
But he's on TikTok as well, so maybe he's picked it up there because...
Now, wait a minute, back up. Did he say it at that moment, or did he say it later?
Later.
Okay, well, I would bet money that he did not come up with that line himself.
Well, yeah, but then, I don't know, I'm beginning to think that maybe my ageist views on people's music taste, like you like in Beyonce, needs to be scrubbed, because obviously everybody's cool now, and especially since, remember when him and Piers Morgan had that argument over who has more YouTube followers, and he said, I'm big on TikTok. So I actually think, like, Nigel is probably connecting with the
kids.
Different, more so than I'd given him credit for.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that.
And so, as well, the other thing that I was going to call up for, and I think, again, this D-Day thing has trumped a lot of things that would have been shocking otherwise.
Yes.
But, you know, like, I was quite surprised that more was put towards Liz Truss this week, or earlier this week, going on the Steve Bannon show, and them not condemning Tommy Robinson. And I was thinking, like, well, Diane Abbott's gone through all that trouble last week, and yet we haven't put Liz Truss hasn't been referred to prevent. So we're just living in a parallel universe right now, because all the Tories will ever say is, you stood besides Jeremy Corbyn. But Liz Truss, you stood beside Liz Truss, who goes on white supremacist podcasts and believes in race theory. I mean, why has Kwasi not called her up and said, I'm black? I don't know if you know, Liz, but it's just like a mad world we're living in.
Yeah, it is
right
a mad world. Yeah, you got that right.
Another music reference.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, thanks a lot, Adam. Got to go. 0345 6060 973. Liz Truss, I mean, I'm just going to put a question mark. Explain Liz Truss to me in a manner that I can understand, because I just don't get it. I, like her, am very unclear.
I'm genuinely unclear.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. 0345 6060 973. Birchington in Kent. Hello, Martin.
Oh, hi there, Nick. Oh, sorry, just got a cough there. Hi, Nick. Good to speak to you.
Hey, Martin.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about Sunak, because yesterday when I heard this news that he ducked out of half of the commemoration, I kind of just went, oh, well, okay, that's just him. That's just another one of those
gaffes. Yeah.
Yeah, but then during today, the more it became part of the media cycle, the more I thought about it. It just occurred to me, it's like it's just, there's so many levels of wrong.
I mean, apart from anything else, it's his job to do that. Even if he didn't want to be there, even if he was thinking about what colour of cashmere hoodie he was going to buy next, it didn't make no difference. He just has to stand there for long enough for his picture to be taken, and then he can fly off and do whatever he wants. I mean, it's just, politically speaking, it's just an open goal that he has delivered. It's not only an open... He presented the Labour Party with an open goal and then hoofed the ball into his own net.
Yeah, and then kicked himself in the...
That's right. But, then smashed himself against...
You're right, because
against the upright.
Prime Minister is not just about the administrative work and everything.
Yeah.
Part of the remit is you are a representative of the United Kingdom.
The representative, PR. That's what it is.
And he forgot that, or not only forgot that. I think maybe he just doesn't realise it. He doesn't understand it. And what was really telling was when he was giving his little apology, he said, "Well, I was there for the British bit." And that, to me, tells me he has a complete lack of understanding about what the D-Day not celebrations, D-Day common.
No, he has a lack of understanding as to what. Yeah,
it's an international.
Yeah, I get that, but he has a lack of understanding about what his job is. I don't think he appears to be taking his job very seriously.
No, it is shameful, and you know, I'm naturally not a voter of his party, but I have people who I'm friends with who are, and they are. I think this has just universally been taken as quite abhorrent.
Can you actually have conversations about politics with your friends who are Conservative voters? Or does it get too get to the point where you just can't?
When I say friends, I'm really. I mean, there's relatives I have that are Conservative.
Well, you're stuck with
I have
them.
one or two. I have one or two, but they're not. We're all.
Do you just avoid the subject?
We try to, but when it comes to really key important things, we'll have a little dig at each other and a little go, but that's fine. I think that's healthy. But
it depends on how far it goes, because that kind of thing can go from a few digs to blazing rows over the dinner table, and that's not good for anybody's digestion.
No, don't talk about politics. It's true, it's true, and because we all want an easy life. But the thing is, what I just wanted to say is that the more I thought about this situation, is the more egregious and abhorrent it seems to me to be. Because when you see it, there's this global picture. It's Biden, it's Macron, it's the German Chancellor, and then it's David Cameron in place of Rishi Sunak. as the political leaders. Obviously,
well, it could be a lot worse. It could be Matt Hancock. So
it could be Liz Truss or whoever.
Yes.
It just shows me just how much the party has turned into something that isn't what it used to be.
Well, I tell you what, even Mr. Blobby would have he would have looked a shambles, and that would have caused national embarrassment. But at least he would have been there.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what. I think that would have been brilliant. Imagine that. Mr. Blobby showing his respect to them.
By showing up looking like he slept in a skip. Yeah.
But anyway, it just shows me, Sunak has no idea about what statesmanship is about. And I think if you asked him, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he had any idea what D-Day meant and the significance of it, or anything like that. Because
he can read a history book just like the rest of us. He just doesn't feel it, that's all. What's extraordinary to me is not the D-Day part, it's the lack of understanding about what his job is. His job is to be the figurehead for this country. And, sloping off early to go and do yourself a favour isn't it.
Yeah, and then, unfortunately, you've got the Ministry of Defence, Johnny Mercer, who
barged in and made it worse.
Yes, he said, "Oh, well, it's disappointing."
No, he said that we were too busy concentrating on this, and it was faux outrage. That's what he said.
That is, just deeply insulting, because, the people who are outraged about this, it's not political for
some of
people,
it is,
including
some of
myself.
It is. I mean, let's be honest, some of it is his enemies are delighting in him presenting them with an open goal on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true. But for just people, just human beings, I mean,
it's a simple thing. Just show up there, just stand still for a bit, and then you can go home.
Yeah,
spend more time with your money.
I don't look at it politically. I could be the biggest fan of Sunak or the biggest fan of anyone, but if they'd done this, I wouldn't look at it politically. I would look at it in the terms of being a human being. If I was Prime Minister, I wouldn't just want to be there as Prime Minister. I'd want to be there just as a human being, just because it's such a significant event, and it's never going to happen in that way again.
That's right. And none of the people who were there, who managed to show up, will be there in another big zero commemorative year. That's right. This is it.
Yeah, unless they do incredibly well with their longevity.
Well, they won't. They won't. Yeah. They haven't spent a life eating yogurt and doing yoga. No. All right, got to go. Thanks a lot, Martin. Yeah, I mean, just apart from anything else, I mean, leave aside the significance of the D-Day commemorations and all of that. It's just really bad at your job. I mean, it's as simple as that, isn't it? It's just terrible at this. Now, let's see. Some texts and emails to finish. Martin says, I think we can all agree that Fishy has united the country in condemnation of his utter incompetence and uselessness. And Michael says, it would appear that the plan was to bankrupt the entire country and everyone in it, in which case everything is going extremely well. Right, that's it. Thanks so much for your calls and tweets, particularly the ones that I didn't get around to reading. However, I will attempt to charge through them tonight when I return at 10. If you missed any of tonight's Super Show, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player. Now, if you've got one of them stupid smart speakers, the magic phrase is play Nick Abbott the Whole Show podcast. The idea is we take the news and the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to, which will give you more time to wonder in the magnificence that is Fishy. Download it for free if you haven't got Global Player. It's on your App Store or globalplayer.com 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 or globalplayer.com.